Back again here inside our PTN studio and joined as always by Mike Irwin for this week's Ask Mike, brought to you by DraftKings, now officially live in Arkansas. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Please bet responsibly. Mike, Arkansas is still alive. They found a way to get it done. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I think Saturday's game, the most exciting game that Arkansas was a part of this year, even more so than that classic against Alabama.
I mean, it was a nail-biter. And you knew what was at work there. You knew it was this whole avoid the Cinderella team
upset. A lot
upset.
of theater, yeah.
And I didn't think they were going to do it for a long time. I mean, Rob Martin is like they couldn't stop him. And they stopped him when it mattered. But, boy, that was a gut check.
Yeah, it's such a cool atmosphere with, Cinderella and the whole building taking on High Point in Arkansas, just trying to find a way. And it had some fear there, hey, maybe they're wearing down. But instead here, Mike, quickly, a thought before we get going here. 5 Sweet 16 trips at least in the last 6 years. Can you ever remember a 6-year run where Arkansas had this much postseason success? I understand. They won it in 94. I get it. Back to the final. But 5 Sweet 16s in the last 6 years.
Yeah, that stuff went on for about 4 years. This is more like 6. You don't have the big title, but people that think Arkansas hasn't done much lately, they're not doing their homework.
One of the very few programs in the country that has played into the second weekend now 5 times in the last 6 years. Moving on here, starting with our first question of the week, coming from Bama fan in Bama, who asks, how did the Hogs manage to beat High Point? They sure didn't do it with defense. I thought your guys would be checking in their uniforms this week. Don't like you, but I guess I hate you less than Aubie. Fire Pearl, no, keep him.
I mean, this guy's second time this Alabama. I don't know why he watches us, but it's pretty funny. Look, they didn't do it with defense for the longest time. And honestly, offense was a huge part of it. And I don't think you're ever going to get an Arkansas team that plays great defense. I mean, look at what they're scoring. I mean, 90 points a game. They need to be up there.
They're going to roll out of bed and score 80 points.
Or they're going to lose against some teams. So, no, it wasn't. But it was done with defense in the last few minutes. And that's when it really counted. So if you can get in the last few minutes and you've got Acuff and he can outscore the other team 9-5 and it was even at 3 minutes, then you win. I have to tell you, that thing had all the classic Cinderella type stuff. And really it started when High Point figured out a way to win that other game against Wisconsin. That was what set it up. Because before that, I don't think anybody knew about High Point. But then when they won that game and the way they won it with a guy that hit his only 2-point shot of the year, and there are all these storylines, so the media goes to work. And High Point helped them with the coach and the players. They're basically popping off and saying all this really cool stuff. And I'm sure the media people, and especially the network people, are going, oh, you got to play this up. High Point, I didn't know anything about this school. First of all, it's a private school. Private. The average income of the average student there is $160,000 a year. There's a fence around that whole place. It's a gated university. Like you got a
country club kind of university.
Yeah, it's like going into a country club, just to get into that place. So there are so many things about it that kind of, I think when they started looking at it, they went, woo, this is really cool. They had the money because they have money, and they've got you'd think it's okay, they don't play football. That's another one. But they've got this basketball arena that only holds 5,000, but it looks like a mini version of Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Coliseum. It's cool. Yeah, it's got some character to it.
Really nice looking place. And they had the money and used it to send 400 of their students to the game.
It was $250 for Thursday. They sent another charter plane to make sure they were there for the game Saturday.
Okay. So they got students. Yep. They're going to win the student thing, and students are always louder than anybody else. And then this always happens. Every NCAA tournament I've ever been to, the local people start rooting for the underdog. So, man, Arkansas's got all this stuff going against it. I'm amazed that they won that game. I think it might have been tougher than if they had to. I do think it would have been tougher if they'd ended up playing Wisconsin.
I was fortunate enough to be there. Arkansas did not have a lot of fans there. Of course, they had their high donors, the family members of administration and the players. They were all there, but they did not have a lot of support in that building. And as you mentioned, everybody loves the underdog, and you love them even more the more obscure the school is. Like Texas is an 11 seed.
Yeah.
We can't get behind that. But damn it, we can get behind High Point, some school we've never heard of.
And this is just part of this special season in which everything you think might turn out bad, so many things that have turned out good. You look at, and I think what helped prepare these guys was that conference tournament. Because all three of those games, Arkansas was, the heavy favorite. They were playing an underdog team that had, two of those teams had to win or they're not going. And that's tough to face. And then Vanderbilt was hot. I mean, they just beaten Alabama. So, I guess they beat Ole Miss.
Beat Ole Miss. They beat Florida was the big one.
Beat Florida. That was the biggie. So, man, I think that prepared them. And until this runs over, I'm going to say I remember this season a lot.
That game Saturday night again, so much fun. Such a classic. Great that Arkansas came out on the right side. You got a thought on this, Mike? Were they against, the committee, the NCAA, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be, or more than likely just a coincidence here? Arkansas, as you said, 3 games in 3 days. They go through a stretch. 5 games in 9 days. Play on Sunday. Not many conferences have a championship game on Sunday. Most of these things are put to bed by Sunday. Ends up being 5 games, 9 days, just 6 players, plus you're traveling out to the West Coast. How did Arkansas come out of all this, and was somebody out to get them?
I don't know. There's no way to ever know that. But the point is, it's over now. Because from here on out, however far they go, it's back to that 2 games a week deal, which you're used to. Now they're compacted more. They're not spread out like Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday. It's more like weekend with a day in between. Yep. But it's still much better than it was.
Yeah, and Arkansas has played on some of those stages. I believe they played a Thursday, Saturday window this year. You see a little bit more in the non-conference. Yeah. And Arkansas has been a benefit here. They're staying out west. They're currently on the West Coast. Did not return to campus. It is spring break, so the whole school, let's not worry about the class here. I believe the whole school is off this week. And then they also get an extra day than what Arizona had, because Arizona played Sunday night, San Diego. They were a late game there. So Arkansas,
all of that could help.
Next question coming from Buck Snout, who wants to know, what did Brazil hurt? He went down very strangely. Just scary.
It's hard to say. I don't think they ever talked about it. You were at the game. What you didn't see,
probably one of 2 things.
But what you see on TV is they had a shot of him in the tunnel or wherever they took him, and they were checking out his neck and his shoulder area. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's done something to his neck. He may be done for the tournament if he can't come back. And it turned out that he came back and hit a 3 and played great defense. But here's what I find interesting. They ruled a flagrant 1, but if you look at just the foul itself, how can it be a flagrant 1? The guy that had the ball, the guy dribbling the ball, tripped over him and fell down. It's not his fault. Here's why it was a flagrant 1, because one of their other offensive players that was in front of Brazil shoved him, trying to create a foul. In other words, here's your ball carrier, here's your dribbler, I'm behind, here's Acuff. If I push him out in front when he's crossing, he'll run into him and it'll be a foul. And I think they ruled that he intentionally tried to create a foul, which then caused Acuff to get hurt, so they gave him a flagrant 1. And I think he missed the free throws, so that wasn't good. Or maybe he didn't even shoot. No, he didn't shoot them, did he? Couldn't he?
I do not recall exactly how that all went down.
I don't think he could.
I believe that was, I don't know if it was Brazil or if there was a foul situation when Isaiah Sealy came in to get some run. I think it did tie into Trevin Brazil going down. But hopefully Nick Pringle is back. They, regardless of what you think of his play.
We're not getting any information on that.
They need the body out there. Are you a little surprised from a competitor standpoint? You're good enough to do some things in warm-ups. Why he may not be playing. And to be clear, none of us know how the kid's feeling.
No, we don't.
And we don't know what the doctors could be advising, like, hey, hamstring, you really could get hurt here.
It's a big mystery. I mean, I've even got people, coming up to me and asking me about Carter Knox. Cal said Final Four. What if he's back this week? I don't think he will be.
Yeah.
But if I'm Cal, I think it's tomorrow or the next day when they have to say. So we'll sit and be in a mystery on this for a while. But, yeah, I'm surprised that Pringle hasn't. I just think he's got to step up this week.
Yeah, and Cal said maybe Final Four on Knox.
Yeah.
He didn't say, hey, we get there, he will be able to play. Carter Knox in the locker room, though, did indicate he's telling him, hey, guys, come on, get me there. I feel like if we get to the 3rd weekend of the tournament, I can play. What a great problem to have. It'll be awesome to see if he's out there. Next question coming from Hog Dogger, who says, proud of our Hogs. I think the defense wasn't sharp, but they might have been fatigued, including Cal, with the SEC tournament schedule and lack of a real test against High Point. Do you think with a week's rest, their defense will stand up to Arizona? Man, Arizona is loaded, but Mike, this is kind of what we alluded to. 5 games in 9 days. Now Arkansas plays on Thursday.
I think he's asking the wrong question. I think he's asking, will Arkansas's offense have enough juice? Because Arizona is an opposite type team. They're holding teams to 68 points a game. Arkansas is at 90. So how much below 90 does Arizona hold Arkansas? And I think if they're fresh, they have a better chance that if they had to play Arizona in the Elite Eight instead of the Sweet 16, I think they'd been cooked. I don't think they would have had the juice to do it. I think since they've had this time off, they'll at least have a shot. But I mean, this is going to be tough. I watched that game, and I was trying to watch a bunch of games the other night. Utah State is a 9 seed. And going into the second half, it looked like it might be a blowout. And then all of a sudden, 3 different times, as you got down the stretch, 6-8 minute mark, they got within 4. And I thought, uh-oh, there may be an upset here. But if you really watch that game closely, in the last 2 or 3 minutes, what happened was Arizona's just too much bigger. They're just too dominant inside. And here's the thing Arkansas has to worry about. 43.1 rebounds a game. 43-1. They out-rebound opponents by 11.5 a game. Arkansas averages 36. And we know how many problems Arkansas has with second chance points with the other team. That's got to be a real concern, and it's got to be a real concern that Arkansas might be limited to 1 shot.
And Koa Pete is a problem. You talk about those rebounds. I don't know what his numbers are, but if you have seen this kid play, he is a load to try and deal with in the post.
And they also steal the ball a lot, 7.5 steals a game. So, again, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. But because they have the rest, I at least think they have a shot.
You know what? It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 4 full days rest, plus it's the late game.
Plus it's the late
on
game,
Thursday.
and I think
so
that helps too.
A lot of time. Helps us too. Gives us some time to kind of digest, catch our breath a little bit, get back out on the West Coast as I'm here in Fayetteville for a couple days. But happy to be a part of it. Been an unbelievable ride, and hopefully we're just getting started. We're just getting started here on Ask Mike. More to come after the break. Back with more here on Ask Mike and getting right back into some of your questions. Next up, WV Hog Van says 5 Sweet 16s last 6 years. Not bad for a football school. How do we match up against Arizona?
Little joke there thrown in. Again, what we were just talking about, I just think the extra rest could make the difference. There's no way to know. But I like the fact that Cal didn't come home. Don't you think that was smart? Not come back here and then go out?
Yeah. I go back and forth. How do the kids respond to it on the road? Being out of their environment. You don't do this in college. You play Wednesdays and Saturdays typically, so there's not road trips. Now, does this get them locked in, or is it maybe a distraction? Dealing with families and all the attention this time of year. I don't know. I want to believe that somebody like John Calipari in 25 NCAA tournament trips, 6 Final Fours, as many times as he's done this, he's got a great handle on the situation.
Well, it's a very short trip to San Francisco where they spend a day, and then it's not, even by car, it's 2 hours, maybe an hour, a little over an hour to San Jose.
Correct.
So,
and they're in Sacramento until Tuesday at some point. They're going to go to San Jose.
Okay. So, I mean, it just looks like to me you did a small. So they're in Sacramento.
They're in Sacramento for a couple days.
I thought they went to San Francisco.
No, I was told Sacramento.
Okay.
In Sacramento, and then they're going to relocate here to San Jose. And really, again, get to decompress. It's not like the NBA where you're mandated to have media availabilities. They're kind of closed doors, doing their own thing, getting ready for Arizona. And as you were talking about the matchup there, I think that's a benefit. Cal has talked so much about how much he believes in his staff with Chuck Martin and Chin Coleman and all that they do to help him get prepared. So, Arkansas's got all this time, whereas you said, if you play in the round of 32, the Elite Eight, you didn't really invest the energy needed. So the extra time can really get them prepared. For quite frankly, Mike, to me, with all due respect here, feels like the regional championship. Purdue and Texas, I don't think. Arkansas is the hottest team in the country. Arizona, one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah. And again, this year when Arkansas has had extra time, what has Cal done? He's worked on defense. So maybe in this extra time they have, maybe they'll come up with a defense that will help them in this game, because they are going to have to play good defense. But I still think the real danger in this game is they limit your scoring. You're used to scoring 90 because you're giving up 80. So make sure you at least score more than 80.
And by the way, another indication there in Sacramento, I saw a picture, Cal courtside at the Kings game. Could be, I know. Don't believe everything you see on the internet, but I'm pretty sure that was actual validity there to what they're doing. Next question here coming from Shane Chrisman, who says, fatigue. I think not. We had nerves like a young team does. You're making excuses for the team, but I'm glad you're bought in. I think they were tired. That was not Arkansas's offense late in the first game. This team doesn't operate in the half court. They were slowing it down. They sure looked tired to me.
Yeah, he's responding to a tweet that I put out where I talked about how they gut checked at the end. They were tired, but they overcame the fatigue. And he's saying, no, they were nervous. Come on. They've been in so many games like that this year. The whole SEC tournament was like that. I don't think they were nervous. I think they were tired, and I think you can see the difference because in that Hawaii game, those other four teammates of Acuff, they scored 72 points. In this one, they scored 59 points. The difference, I think, was fatigue. But what I like about Acuff is, and I've said this so many times, I think he sits back and watches what's going on. And so in that Hawaii game, he's like, I only have to score 24, or I only have to do this because they're scoring. But then when they don't score, he's going, you better step it up. I got to score. Having a guy that can adjust like that and do whatever you need him to do at the end has been a real benefit.
A thought on this. Arkansas did a really good job defending without fouling, or at least, maybe the refs swallowed the whistles. I don't know. Hard to say.
Well,
that.
They are doing that.
Rob Martin fouled out, so I mean they were calling. He's a little guy, a little harder for him to defend. Maybe he got caught, matched up with Acuff one too many times. Is that maybe something that Cal is putting emphasis on? He knows they're going, hey guys, we got 6 guys. You have to be careful. So could that dynamic change with Pringle
I
back?
think they have benefited from what I've seen, which is they're letting these guys play. I see a lot of physical contact. I'm seeing offensive players getting bumped, pushed, controlled, and they're not calling fouls, which I like that because before in a normal in-game, in-season type situation, regular season, I think it's been too much balanced against the defense. Now they're letting the defense control a little more, do some bumping, do some things. And I like it because it doesn't stop play. When we do get play stopped for these reviews, it drives you nuts because you just sit there forever. So the fewer times you can have a foul call, the better, in my opinion. And I do think it's benefited Arkansas.
All right, well done as always, Mike. Forgot to mention this. My Ask Mike this week brought to you once again by DraftKings. DraftKings now live in Arkansas. The crown is yours. Please bet responsibly. Next question here from Mark Anderson, who asks, coaching from the couch. I know, but why didn't Cal put somebody else on that Martin kid? Darius could not cover him. Hey, Acuff not exactly known for his defense, Mike.
No, he's not. And I could be totally wrong about this, but trying to put myself in Cal's head, I think he said to himself, first of all, Martin, he's not used to playing as many minutes as he played, and he's not used to scoring as many points. He got jacked up in that first game, and I think in this game he went, okay, I can do even better. And I think he got sucked into anything you can do, I can do better with Acuff, and he had him. He had 30 points to Acuff's 27 with about 3 minutes to go. But then Acuff outscored the whole team, High Point 9-5, and Martin didn't score another point. Now that was due to largely Billy Richmond, some Brazil, some Ewan. They all kind of stepped up and limited him and blocked a couple of outside shots. Wasn't all from him. But I just think Cal was sitting there thinking, okay, if you want to get into a scoring contest with my guy, I think my guy will win.
And to me, down the stretch, what an absolute killer. I mean, this kid wants, talking about Acuff, of course, he wants the ball in his hands. Had the big and one late, seemed like a critical moment there, and also had the big three-pointer that put them up 7 to really put this thing over the top.
And he fouled him out and then hit 2 free throws. So, last 250 of the game, Acuff outscored Martin 9-0.
Can you ever remember a player in Arkansas basketball's recent history or history overall that embraced the moment late in the game quite like Darius.
No.
Because look at this run here. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, High Point. Acuff is the one with the ball in his hands, making a shot to seal the game.
Not with the consistency. I keep talking about this. It's his consistency. It's you keep waiting for him to have a bad game, and he just doesn't have it.
I'm stealing something from somebody I saw online. Apparently, this person was talking to Joe Klein and said, hey, if they go on a run here, they should retire his number. Can you do that? Can you retire a player's number if he's on your campus for 1 year?
I don't know.
I mean, if you win a national title, that's different. Put the whole team up there.
I mean, technically, is Moncrief's number really retired? Is anybody? Was it 32?
I don't even know. Basketball is a little bit different now because up until about 5 years ago, you couldn't have a digit higher than 5. But that has changed now. You can wear whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they will do that. I think what you do is you just hang banners and you don't say it's retired. As long as the banner's up there, who cares? You just hang the jersey. And that doesn't mean somebody else can't have it.
If Darius, you go on a run where you put up 170 points in the NCAA tournament, they win the national title, they better retire your number.
Maybe.
Next question here coming from Hang 10 Hog, who asks, am I wrong? The days back when the triplets were playing were very special, and I thought I'd never see the same again. Watching Acuff, especially at the end of this year, is on par with watching Moncrief. I never thought I'd say that. Kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's different, though. Here's the thing. Moncrief didn't have the freshman year that Acuff's having, I promise you. And you got to watch Moncrief for 4 years. That's the real difference. Imagine what it would be like to watch Darius Acuff for 4 years. Can you imagine that? Knowing he's coming back and then going, hey, it's his senior year. What's he going to do this year? That's the difference in basketball in those days and what it is now. So all you're left with, and I keep saying this may be his last game, or he might play another game or whatever. But you just have to enjoy every one of them because it could be his last game. And I'll tell you this, whenever this ends, if it ends this week.
Thursday, Saturday, whatever. Yeah.
Whenever it ends, I don't think fans are going to be mad because I think they love the SEC tournament title, and I think they love seeing what Acuff can do. And I think teams can win, but you're mad because they're not doing this or that or this. This team, it's hard to get mad at these guys. They're fighting. They're such underdogs with all the injuries and the small roster. I mean, you got 6 guys out there.
Getting smacked in the face by the committee going out to Portland.
Yeah, and they just keep doing it. So whenever it ends, and it could be on Thursday, I don't think people are going to be mad. I think they wish they'd gone further. But I don't see the anger that you sometimes get.
We got Jordan Smith coming here next year, number 2 player in the country. Some people think he could be even better than Darius Acuff. More to come here on Ask Mike, brought to you by DraftKings. We got to take a timeout. Back here on Ask Mike, getting ready for Arkansas, Sweet 16 matchup coming up with Arizona. Ask Mike this week, brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours as always. Please bet responsibly. That app now live here in the state of Arkansas and pretty much wherever else you could find our Ask Mike content. Next question coming from Pigus. Did I say that? Biggest Pigus. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah,
Do you think
exactly.
Calipari still wants to have such a short player rotation after 2 straight years of running out of depth?
I think
every year can be different.
I think he's made some statements that would indicate he might go 9, even 10 next year. If he does that, I think he's losing 4 because he'll lose these 2 freshmen, I'm pretty sure, and then Brazil.
Maybe Ewan.
Ewan might come back, but Pringle's gone for sure.
Gone, yeah.
So you may be at net -1 right now anyway because he's only signed 3 so far. So how does he get there? It looks like to me, I think he may sign 1 more high school guy, 1 more, and then he might sign 2 or even 3 portal guys. So I do think he's indicated that he wants a bigger roster of guys that play. Just for the very reason that we're talking about. You just never know when you're going to get injuries and guys fouling out.
What do you think the dynamic is, though, trying to recruit those kids, particularly out of the transfer portal, but I guess they can be prep kids as well? Hey, you're hot stuff. A lot of people want you, but come here and you might only get to play 15 minutes a game.
Well, it's if he recruits another freshman, then I don't know. Can he get another 5-star? Maybe not. Maybe it's a high 4-star. Another guard maybe that he feels like he needs. I'm not sure. But I really believe that he's going to go after 2 experienced bigs in the portal. And those guys will play. He can come in and say, you're going to play because we have to have you.
Did it last year. Brought in Malik Ewan, brought in Nick Pringle. That's, seemingly the area right now on Arkansas's roster looking ahead to next year if they retain all this talent that they have. Malik Thomas, Billy Richmond, Mike, there's going to be a lot of attention on those guys to see if they do end up coming back. Next question coming from K-Dog Stu to you that asks, is there a hint or indication of whether Arkansas will play Thursday versus Friday? I'm cruising and could really use a Friday-Sunday combo. Any thoughts or just wait and see? WPS, thanks. Johnny Tyson and Coach Cal.
Yeah, and that was obviously sent in before it was announced. So again, we've said it before. It's a Thursday game. It's a late game. Would Friday have been better? I guess. But Thursday's not bad, especially if you're playing at the same time you played last Saturday.
Yeah, they are, again, closing out the session there in San Jose. The Texas-Purdue game will be up first, so we'll know at least half.
And again, it gives extra recovery time for Nick Pringle. I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but I'm telling you, if the guy plays, he doesn't have to come in and do a lot. He just has to absorb some fouls that Ewan's not absorbing and that Brazil's not absorbing.
Next question here coming from Cal Trade, who wants to know, why does Cal keep saying the coaches win games but administrations win championships? Sound like he's giving a lot of props to Juracek. I'd give it to Tyson. All these things are kind of interconnected, Mike.
Well, I mean, when you read some reactions to that, it's really different. Some fans think that it's sarcasm on his part, referring to his last few years at Kentucky, because the implication there was, well, you can win games, but you can't win championships. And he's saying, well, I won a championship this year, so what are you talking about? So he could mean that. He could be giving props to Juracek, but beyond that, he could be giving props to your chancellor, your university system president. He could mean that. And then if you read some of these Kentucky boards, he also could be saying, you know what? The AD is important, and guess who would be a good AD? Me. And maybe he's hedging his bets for when he finally does want to step down. But Razorback fans would love to leave that AD spot open and then let him be the AD when he decides to stop coaching.
Cal, it would really shake some things up if he could land the athletic director.
People would love it, because then he could hire his own replacement. They'd trust him to do that.
The Don himself, hey, if he's kind of able to get this kind of talent all these years and find a way to raise some money, imagine what he could do as an athletic director. That'd be pretty cool to see. Next question here coming from Sam Block, who says, Calipari made Arkansas a hoop school. Signetti made Indiana a football school. Anything is possible.
Well, he really got ripped over the coals by Razorback fans. Look, here's sort of what happened. ESPN, they're losing money. They had to make some changes. They got rid of a lot of experienced people, and they replaced them with guys like this. I've seen his picture. I don't know how old he is. It looks like he's in his 20s. Mm-hmm. Okay, he doesn't do his research, or he's one of these people that thinks anything that happened beyond about 5 or 6 years ago didn't really happen.
There's a lot of us out there.
Doesn't matter. I responded to it and said, wait a minute. Arkansas's success in basketball goes all the way back to 1941 under Glenn Rose, when they won their first, or went to their first Final Four. They also went to a Final Four in 46. Eddie Sutton had one in 78. Nolan had 3 of them. So there's 6 Final Fours. But recently, again, we've mentioned, well, actually, Mike Anderson had a Sweet 16 appearance in 2016, somewhere in there, 2015. And then Musselman came in here and went to 2 Elite Eights and a Sweet 16. And now Cal has had 2 Sweet 16s. So to say this is not a basketball school, it just suddenly became a basketball school is not true. And all you would have to do, even back during that drought from Nolan all the way up to about 2016 or whatever, and those were some bad years with Stan Heath and John Pelfrey and that situation, you still had fans showing up, filling up that arena. You can't. If you've got a 19,200 seat arena and you fill it up even when you don't have a good team for conference games and bigger games, you're a basketball school. And I'm going to say this, I don't care who says it's not true. This is a football school.
It is.
They may not have had success,
Yes.
but you let somebody come along and start winning, and you'll find out what a football school it is. It's more of a football school than it is a basketball school or a baseball school, because look at how the times that they've. I go back to when Musselman beat Texas here. They hadn't had a lot of success in years. People went bonkers that night. They filled the entire field with fans. Yeah. People were going crazy that night. All you have to do is have success, and you will see this is also a football school.
Yeah, you're referring to Sam Pittman there getting the job done in 2021?
2021,
yeah, that had an incredible start. You used the perfect word, success. Why do people put success over passion? Because the passion of the fan base is what truly makes the school what it is.
You're absolutely right, and so many of them it just boils down to, if you don't win, you're not a basketball school, or you're not a baseball school, or you're whatever, you're not. If those fans show up and they want you to win and they're willing to wait for you to win and keep supporting you, that's what you are. I will tell you, I think this is a softball school. I think this is a soccer school.
Certainly a baseball school.
The soccer team draws a large number of fans. Softball, once they get into the heat of the conference race, and especially if they get a regional or super regional, you're going to see a lot of people out there. Whatever Arkansas does well, remember when volleyball got on a run 2 or 3 years ago? I mean, people are showing up. Mm-hmm. If you're successful, they're coming.
Gymnastics, all of it.
Yeah, they love gymnastics. I mean, they just had the largest, I believe, school, an SEC record
on campus.
for on-campus for a gymnastics meet. It's just, it doesn't matter what it is. If they're successful at it, we're showing up.
Yeah.
These are great fans here.
They are, and they'll get behind just about anybody, but they'll really get behind a winner.
That's right.
So Florida's not a basketball school. You know, they're a football school first. They have great basketball, but USC is another one. That's not a basketball school. It's a football school first. I don't know why. Again,
I do not
confuse
know.
Success is more important than passion. Passion always is going to trump whatever your success is. Next question coming from Pig's Feet, who asks, will BBN, Big Blue Nation, ever get over Coach Cal? He did good things for them. Why the hate?
You get roped into this internet thing that I've talked about so many times. When you start thinking what you're reading on the internet is what most people think. Here's the problem. I know plenty of people that read the internet and never post. You know why? Because they don't want people trying to make them look stupid. So they just read it. I also know plenty of people that just stay completely away from Twitter or these Facebook boards or these Facebook groups or fan boards because they just don't like the way it is. Here's what happens with people that are very active on the internet and love to post. First of all, they love to see themselves out there, and then they want to challenge everybody. They want to go after a player or a coach. They want to go after somebody that posts something they don't agree with. Mm-hmm. They love to fight. I think in many cases they're very frustrated in their own lives. They've got something that's making them mad, and so they're going to take it out and just, I'm better than you. And you know what's funny? You'll look at a lot of these people have like eight people following them.
Or what's their image? Anybody can hide behind a Razorback logo or a letter of an alphabet or whatever.
Yeah.
Put your face on.
You don't put your name out there, and you got 7 or 8 people following you. And somebody told me a long time ago, don't respond to them when they attack you, because if you respond, then you're exposing their 8 followers to all of your followers, and you're making them more important. If you just let them post what they want to post, 8 people see it, you know? So come on. I think I've seen plenty of Kentucky fans get on X and say, cut this out. He didn't do anything to us. He needed a fresh start. We're fine. We don't want him to beat Kentucky, but unless he's playing us, we don't wish him any ill will. So there are a bunch of those that are out there. And I just think you get a false impression from it. But look, Razorback fans fall into that too. The ones that are doing battle with him, you know what's going on this week? Because they got beat bad, and he may be and Mark Pope may be in job trouble.
Sure is. Imagine if they would have lost Santa Clara.
Yeah, they're making fun of Pope now. They're making fun of Kentucky. They're engaged in this little tug of war between the two fan bases, which if you want to do that, that's your thing. I don't have anything against it, but it's just, it creates a false impression.
We're going to move on and talk some baseball here, but just a final thought here on basketball. Mike, hey, feel comfortable to make a prediction if you'd like to. Is there anything that would surprise you coming into this game to Arizona, champions of the Big 12, by the way, number 2 team in the country? One thing that would surprise me, if Arkansas gets blown out. I think they're too good of a team to lose a game by more than 2
Yeah, it could happen, but yeah, that would surprise me. It would surprise me if Acuff in the last few minutes of the game screwed up and did something that you could say, hey, he cost him the game.
Bad turnover, bad foul. Something
Yeah,
like
he took too much on his, put too much on his plate, tried too hard. He finally overdid it or whatever. That would surprise me, but it could happen. I mean, he's human. He's not a robot. You think he is sometimes. You think he's artificial intelligence, an AI-created player.
I will argue with that. He's been superhuman. He has been absolutely sensational. What an incredible run in the SEC tournament, and has been such a joy to watch here in the NCAA tournament, particularly that game against High Point, man. That was fantastic. More to come here on Ask Mike. We had to take our final time out. Back here for our final block on Ask Mike, brought to you this week by DraftKings, now live in the state of Arkansas. All your bets on all the madness that comes along with March. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Please bet responsibly. Moving on now to talk some Arkansas baseball here. Hill Country Hog next up. I'm worried about the baseball team again. Yes, they won a road series, but they could have easily lost 2 of the 3. Saturday and Sunday, those hitting problems resurfaced. And in Game 3, the pitching blew up almost out of nowhere.
You know, this is really weird when you kind of look at it. We're 2 weeks into this conference race, and Arkansas is in first place.
They're tied for first right now?
7-way tie for first place. Can you believe that? And of the 7 teams that they're tied with, they easily have the worst overall record. And that's what has some people concerned. Look, the last time that Arkansas had this many losses at this point in the season was 2016. And that 2016 team didn't make postseason play. They didn't even make the conference tournament. Their last regular season game, that was it. That's the last baseball game. That team had a better record right now at this point in the season than this team does. So it's kind of scary a little bit. Now, that team blew up at the end. They just started losing conference games left and right. And I'm not suggesting that this Arkansas team won't go to postseason. If they don't correct some of their hitting problems, and if their pitching continues to be, the problem with the pitching is you never know when somebody's going to blow up. Colin Fisher has been their best starting pitcher ERA-wise, and he just got rocked, you know. And so you look at some of the things that happened in that game, and you're going, what happened to your pitching on Sunday? It just went completely whack job. And you look at how nutty that series was. First of all, Arkansas scores 22 runs in the first game, and then they do virtually nothing at the plate the next 2 games and didn't deserve to win Game 2. There was an error in the top of the 9th which allowed them to tie it up, and then, you know, Pompey gets a base hit, and then he scores. I think Kosiel drove him in maybe with a sac fly or whatever, a play that maybe it was a hit to first or second. But that very easily could have been a loss, and it wasn't. So, again, I'm not telling you not to be excited at the fact that you're tied for first and not say, well, I mean, the sky is not falling. But they've got to rectify some of these hitting problems. They've just got to. There are too many guys in this lineup that you know, because you've seen them at times, you know that they're better hitters than this. I mean, Helfrich, he's looked really good at times. At times he's come up and just stood there and struck out. I mean, I saw Kosiel do that. Just stand up there in a critical situation and he strikes out looking. And you're going, what are you doing there? So there's just some inconsistencies there. Their defensive numbers were really good at the start of the year. They're dropping down in defense. At one time they were 3rd down there. Now they're somewhere down around 8th. Now, look, they've got a game against Central Arkansas coming up. So they need to win that game, but UCA, I think they beat Vanderbilt early in the year. So it's not somebody you just assume you can beat them. And then they've got Florida coming in here. Now, in all 3 of the statistical categories, they've got a better batting average than Florida. They've got a better team ERA than Florida. They got a better fielding percentage than Florida.
And better batting average than Florida. That one surprises me, actually.
Well, they do. And so statistically, you should say, well, Arkansas will win this series. You just can't go by that with baseball. It's too unpredictable.
Now, we have the benefit of hindsight, so it's hard to say this. But tell me what you were thinking Friday night when they put up 22 runs and hit like 15 homers.
I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking. Every time they do that, they come back and don't score runs the next game, sometimes the next two games.
There was no part of you that thought like, all right, maybe they unlocked the offense.
No, I'm worried about that because I've seen it happen too many times. You don't want to get 12 or 13 runs in a game. 9 or 10 is okay. You get 13, 14 now, all of a sudden, woo, the next game, it's like, okay, we'll balance this out. I don't know how it happens. I just see it happening over and over again.
So you have that sample size of Friday. When you total that in with the weekend, if you just look at the 3 games in a snapshot, you're like, wow. That's pretty impressive.
Right, but when you look at how unbalanced it was, that's where you've got the problem. And again, I'm concerned about what happened to the pitching was good on Friday and Saturday. It was Sunday, and that should have been your best day. I mean, you had a really good reliever there, and you had a really good starter, and they both they had to leave, you know? So, and then they brought in a kid that I think had an ERA of under 2, and he gives up 3 runs in a third of an inning. So his ERA just went south in one appearance. So I don't know what was going on there. And then here's the thing that's so crazy about this. South Carolina is the worst hitting team in the SEC. And they were just knocking home runs left and right.
So bad that they had to do something about it. That's how bad. Mid-series, for crying out loud.
That may have had something to do with it because usually when you fire the coach, and somebody else is not the coach anymore, the team's going, we don't have that guy. Clearly they had some issues with Paul Maneri. And he's one of the great coaches in the history of SEC.
Won at least a national title. I think maybe multiple at LSU.
Yeah, he did a great job at LSU. But man, did he bomb at South Carolina. And now I guess he's going to out of coaching now. But it looks like to me they were so glad that he was gone. And the rumor is they're going after this coach at Coastal Carolina. That's one of the great mid-major type programs.
Yeah, just played for the national title last year.
And they may go after him. I don't know if they can get him. But that's right there in Carolina, so we'll see.
When Ray Tanner was at South Carolina, man, I'm sure you remember this, he haunted Dave Van Horn. It seemed like every single time they were in a critical game, South Carolina was beating Arkansas.
Exactly.
And look at how far they've fallen. You know, I was out west, of course, but had the game on a little bit, saw it, checked in. The place is empty. And that's one of the great college baseball parks in America. One of the great fan bases with multiple national titles.
Exactly. That's a really nice stadium they have there. And they, by all rights, should have a better program than they do right now. And who knows, they could bounce back now with a new coach, just their interim coach. He obviously wants the job. The way he can get that job is if he wins.
Have you ever heard of a coach getting fired mid-series? Really, college baseball, mid-season almost
not mid-series, not after a certain game. Like, oh, this is intolerable. We can't go with you anymore. You gave up 22 runs. There's something wrong with you.
Is whoever South Carolina's version of John Tyson, he got on the phone and said, that's enough. You got to pull the plug.
Exactly.
That's why that happens. Final question of the week. Cajun Hog wants to know, how did the first 2 weeks of spring football go? Any indication that is looking up, or will it be Sam Pittman 2.0 for another couple of seasons and then on to the next coach? I will say this, Mike. I am surprised how much, overlooking we're doing of football, but that's a testament to the basketball team.
Yeah, there's just too much going on right now. Now, look, I hadn't been to any of those because I've been occupied here. So I had to call up Otis because Otis, he does our football recruiting. There's nobody I trust any more than Otis with football. He and I go back all the way to the early 80s, I think. And he's a really straightforward guy when you talk. So I called him this morning. I said, you got to help me out here. Tell me what you think. Because he's seen these practices. He wasn't able to watch it. They haven't let the media see any of the scrimmages, and especially the one practice they had in pads. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the weird thing. DJ Williams was there with Grant Cook, but they weren't there as part of the media. They were there as former players. And what did they do? They got on their podcast and talked about a fight between this kid from Boise State that has all the problems.
Chris Marshall.
And one of the D-backs. So I don't know if they're going to be invited back.
Traditionally, what Mike is being referred to. And hey, people can do whatever they want. It's America. We're all free to do whatever you want. But whenever you're a guest of the team and something is closed off that is supposed to remain quiet. That's all Mike's alluding to.
And I had a long conversation with Otis about this, going all the way back to when Lou Holtz was the football coach here. He let us come to every practice. But you know what? There were 7 or 8 of us in the media that were there every day. We used to sit around and talk about this. And we would say to each other, don't do anything stupid. You make him mad, we're gone. So you got to use common sense. And that story I told a couple of weeks ago about the backup quarterback getting hurt right there when my camera was rolling, and Lou looks at me and he sees the light on that camera, and I think he's going to come over and tell me I can't use it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have, because I didn't want to lose my access over that. But he came over and he just said, he gave me the stuff and let me use it. But that's very unusual. I mean, Sam Pittman got crossways with some of these guys for reporting injuries. There's just certain things they tell you. You can come to our practices, but we don't want you to help our opponents. So be responsible. So I don't know what's going to happen as a result of this. I mean, he still, it sounds like to me, Silverfield is not going to let the media in there to watch the scrimmage. We'll see the spring game and that's it. And so what do you know as a result of all this? Here's what Otis said to me. He said, there appears to be a good running backs room. I mean, you got Braylon Russell coming back, 3rd season, big physical back, who's quicker than you think he would be at his size. Sutton Smith is that kid from Memphis that's shorter
and fly.
That's fast.
He had the game-winning touchdown against Arkansas.
And then Jasper Parker, this is the guy that played at Michigan as a true freshman. He didn't start, but he played
He may be a 5-star player, yeah.
Yeah. And so those 3 look like you got 3 solid running backs there. Receiver, Ishmael Sissy. He was a transfer from Stanford, turning heads last summer. Everybody liked him. Then he got that injury before August camp. Otis said he was looking really good when he seen him. Monty Harrison and Antonio Jordan and Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown started 5 games last year, was looking really good, had another season-ending injury. All of those guys have looked good in the first 3 practices, so you got 3 receivers. Quarterback is the biggie. Otis says KJ Jackson sort of appeared to have a slight edge, over A.J. Hill, but it's very close there. No real huge difference between the two. And he said it looked like to him the offensive line was a little bit ahead of the defensive line, which wouldn't be unusual. So that's all I can tell you about the football team. I don't even know if we get into the second part of spring football where they're really going to gear it up when they get back from spring break. I don't know how much we're going to know because he's not going to, it doesn't look like he's going to let us see the actual scrimmaging.
Yeah.
And then who knows what they're going to do in the spring game. You can do little tricks with the spring game. First of all, he's already said it's not going to be an actual game. They're going to be in situational things. So what do? Do you have ones versus ones? Or is it always one offense versus 2 defense, 1 defense versus 2 offense? It's just going to be, I don't know what we're going to know. And I've said all along, even no matter what they do this spring, experience tells me this, you're not going to know for sure until they start playing somebody else this fall.
Yeah. And just give us something. Can we get to 6 and 7 and 5? Give us something to get behind.
Now, I talked to Otis, and he and I agree. This fan base is so hungry for some football, and especially if this turns out to be a disappointing baseball season. It's going to be a long summer, and you need something to keep people going.
Why all the shade for the baseball team, Mike? They're ranked in the top 10. The standards here are so unbelievably high. I get that.
People are just
you keep saying they're 4-2 in the conference. They beat the best team in the conference last week.
People are just worried about some of the hitting issues and the inconsistency in the pitching and the way the fielding percentage keeps dropping. It's just like there's things wrong that have to be corrected. And they may get it corrected. And if they do, that's fine. You go back to Omaha and if you win a College World Series, then that just blots everything out. But I'm telling you, if baseball has an issue, you know what that's going to do? That's going to put a whole lot of pressure on football. It's going to put pressure on Silverfield to respond with something to get people interested. It might be better if he could sort of hide behind a good baseball season. But if he can't, then he's going to have to do more to show people what's going on.
And this commentary is really a compliment. Maybe it's a backhanded compliment, but it really is a compliment to how good Dave has been for the last decade. That, hey, top 20 isn't exactly what we expect here at Arkansas. We expect this team to be in super regional.
He's had
College
one
World Series.
in all these years, 23, 24, 25 years, whatever. I think it was 2002 till now. He's had one bad team. 2016 was the one bad team he's had. Other than that, he's been right there. And the consistency there is unbelievable.
And since 2012, it feels like I know it's not quite, but it feels like they're in the World Series every other year.
Yeah. So we'll see. But again, I'm just saying that if baseball has a disappointing year, it's going to put more pressure on you, Ryan Silverfield.
Mike Irwin's saying that Ryan Silverfield should be a big-time Dave Van Horn in Arkansas baseball.
Well, he's got to show people something. You can't hide behind these, you got to tell people what's going on.
Out of time here this week on Ask Mike. More to come next week. Hopefully, Mike, we're talking about a trip to Indianapolis for the Final Four. Arkansas and Arizona coming up on Thursday night. Thank you for checking us out.